Aloha again, beautiful souls. It's Karina coming to you from Hawaii. And today I'm going to talk to you about my treatment for body dysmorphic disorder and let you know how it's been going. It's been over a week. But before I begin, enjoy these gorgeous pictures of Hawaii. All right, so let's talk about what I did for treatment. And again, I want to remind you that I am not a medical doctor. I am a former elementary, middle school, and high school teacher who now lives in Hawaii. But I've been doing my, I have body dysmorphic disorder, and I've been doing my research and seeing a doctor, and these are the things that I've come up with for my treatment, and it's actually been going wonderfully, better than I could even imagine. So I have my notebooks out, so I'm going to use my notebooks today because I took notes and as I was going through this last week to share with you what I've done and what I'm doing and will continue to do. So first of all, I'm going to go over my notes to the doctor. When I made my appointment to see the psychologist to discuss the body dysmorphia, I wanted to make sure I had a comprehensive page of notes. We did a telehealth visit, and so I was able to go over all these things during the appointment. So I'll just briefly explain what I did at the onset. I went over everything, like trauma from my past, what I've been faced with, and then like when I first started the bulimia and having the dysmorphia, you know, with paranoid thoughts and really not loving myself anymore. So once you make your appointment to see a psychologist, I suggest laying out everything, laying out your, deep thoughts and feelings of self, and, any events that may have triggered times when you felt down in the past, and share those with him. And then I made a list of everything that I am doing, that, what's going on that day, that was going on up until that day, my mirror obsession, the things that I was really unhappy with, my face, on my body, things that were going on, then what I was doing right now to make sure I was the healthiest, exercising. I drink cinnamon and apple cider vinegar, intermittent fast, vegetarian, no alcohol, caffeine. I listed all those things for the doctor. And then, I kind of talked about, self-love, and I'm not feeling worthy, and what was happening, what I actually felt inside when I looked in the mirror. I talked about my past in ballet and gymnastics and how that could have played a role, and we discussed that. And then I listed the goals. I had my goals written, and I wanted to make sure he was clear in what I wanted. I wanted to feel worthy, not with meds. I didn't want to go on any synthetic drugs. I'm all natural. So I said I really wanted to overcome my thoughts and my brain and mind control my mind, change my thinking. And I had been trying to do it on my own, and, I would like to utilize his help. And I wanted to love myself, feel confident on the outside like I do inside. And I also had a goal to help others, and that I felt that this body dysmorphia was blocking my growth in that. And I wanted to release this idea of perfectionism I have in myself, that, in the past I was always pretty good at what I did and was considered one of the best in different areas of my life, and I wanted to let that go. I don't want that on my shoulders. I didn't want to feel like that on my shoulders anymore. So okay, so here's how the appointment went, and then the last little bit of the video I'm going to talk to you about treatment and what I'm doing, based on what he said. So he said that, you know, definitely OCD and that trauma goes along with the trauma. And he believed that it was the trauma from the past divorce. Okay, let me get over that because I think I talked about that in causes. But he said, you know, keep being transparent, doing everything I can do to become better. And he said, I need to challenge my worthiness. And he actually gave me some affirmations, which I've included them in my daily journals. But he said, you know, to say, I am worthy. I feel I am worthy. Challenge that worthiness. I am moving. I am growing. I am becoming the best I can be. And he said, and I was also a lot of intent on, when I meditated, I had an intent. When I exercised, I had an intent. And he said he wanted me to exercise without intent, to do a body shift, a recalibration. And he said that was allowing the body to change the chemicals. So to change chemicals on them in themselves. So he suggested a brisk walk, you know, breathe and be by myself in nature. He said I could lay out in nature, you know, feel the wind and the sun, the birds, the heat of the sun, be aware of the vastness. These were some of the things we were talking about together. And then he reminded me that it was just okay. It's okay to just be, okay, and allow my mind a free state to process things. And he said, you know, if I get caught up in my thoughts while I'm doing this, he said, it's okay to say it's okay. And he reminded me again that there was no intention in this meditation or sitting outside or walk, just to be. So I hadn't been doing that. It seemed like everything I had been doing or have been doing up until this point has been with specific intentions, you know, manifestation, affirmations, exercise, everything I'm doing on my face, whatever I'm doing, I had these deep intentions, and I think it was really overwhelming me, which probably pushed that body dysmorphia up even higher to the forefront of my mind. So I've been, you know, I really needed to hear that. So what I did then, now I'm going to talk to you. So that's kind of what the appointment went like. And now I'm going to talk to you about what I'm doing, okay? I started, and this is weird, and I don't know why I did this, but it was a way to reach inside myself, and, you know, it worked with me. I looked back at pictures, and I thought about what I was feeling then, and I looked at them to see, because I'm an empath, so I can really look at the photos and get the energy of the time, remember the energy of the time. And I looked at them, and I wondered, you know, what was my body image at that time? I started thinking about it, my mental thoughts at that time, and why. So I really began looking at myself deeper than I had been doing. You know, my emotions already, now I had been doing that, but now my actions and why I have those actions, and, you know, the inner thoughts or the subconscious thoughts, or what I guess they're conscious thoughts when they come out. So I had also been doing, so I did that. I also wrote down a list of all my relationships, because I know that part of this deals with romance and love. So I wrote a list of, and, you know, my self-image based on a relationship, which I wanted to break out of that. I should have my own strength and belief. And I don't know, that came, I think, from my very first relationship in high school. So I wanted to go back to that and change that belief. So I looked at all the relationships I've had, and, you know, why did I enter them? You know, what was the reason? What was the feeling in the beginning? How did I really feel all things, whether it was my intuition or just, you know, warnings, or if it was not. And I wrote down everything from each one about, you know, what happened. And that, I think, what gave me more insight into my decisions in regarding myself and feeling loved or worthiness, which really opened my eyes to, you know, opening that self-love up more. Because if I wasn't expecting things from the beginning and I was settling for less, then I'm making those choices. I'm consciously making those choices. So I obviously had some feelings, lower feelings of self-esteem. So I really wanted to address them. And I did. And it was really wonderful for me. It turned out to be extremely beneficial. So I did that, and then on my meditations have changed a little bit. My meditation in the past had been specific to a type of growth, like letting go of emotions or negative thoughts or opening up love, to healing. And I decided to shift a lot away from the healing and go into focusing on the new me, how I want the new me to be, and really ramped up the Joe Dispenza meditations to where I'm doing at least one, if not two, every day. And then some other meditations for just a higher self and connecting to a higher source. But I then want to talk to you about Joe Dispenza, because here are some things he said, which I was doing as well prior to, this whole realizing this awakening where I realized that this body dysmorphia is affecting me the way that it is. So, he said in his things, and which I've been doing, and I'm just going to go over them, is take responsibility for your health. And what are your thoughts, habits, and actions or words to yourself? Become conscious of mismanaged, unconscious states of body. So it was like the way it was explained is like breaking the habit of being yourself. What you think, your thoughts, words, actions, and deeds, how did they affect your body? And, that's a big thing for me, was always talking about that, but I didn't realize my own thoughts, actions, words, and deeds, were affecting my body in the same way that I'm telling people to go out and do this. You have to do it. I had to do it more within myself and make that mind and body connection and make a correlation to how we feel and think. And so I looked at what I've been doing the last couple of years with myself and how I was treating myself and talking to myself and how that affected me today. So I realized, oh my God, I need to change this. And so the next thing is to break the cycle. So go through the discomfort. That's what I did with looking at the past relationships and looking at myself in pictures, and then realize, let that go and realize, who do I want to be in my behavior and my emotions? If I had another lease on life, if I started over, who would I be now? And review how I acted in the past, and then think about how I'm going to act now, from now on. And here's what I loved, because like I said, I was in ballet and gymnastics. And it's all about practice or rehearsal. He stated, and this is what clicked in me, rehearse it. Okay. All this time I've been hearing in anything I've been doing for growth that, be that person, be that person. I wasn't making the connection until I heard those words, rehearse it. So I was like, that makes perfect sense. I have to have a dress rehearsal like every day, a mental rehearsal. And another thing that was mentioned was, don't wait for healing to begin to feel wholeness, joy, gratitude, to feel wholeness, joy, and gratitude now to start the healing. So that, a couple of these eye-opening statements that I heard have really transformed how I feel about myself. Okay, so then it went on to reinvent a new self and repeat. Okay, do it, repeat it, feel better, and ultimately you become better. And find yourself in long moments where you lose track of time and space. So that was just like that went along with what my therapist was saying about do the walks or the sit out in nature without an intention, where I'm just lose track of time and space and I'm just there in the moment, and become so present that time and space disappear. That's what I've been doing and I'll explain how, but I'm going to continue on with my notes. It's like your personality creates your reality. So in order to create a new reality, you have to create a new personality. And it hit home with me. It hit home with me, So how to change, okay? And it's, why is it so hard to reprogram your mind? So this comes from me, and I want to bring in my years of teaching and learning about gifted students, because I really have my my expertise, I feel, was teaching gifted learners. And, you know, I would always go to workshops and, you know, increase my knowledge in the best way and a teacher that I can become the best teacher for all learners. But one thing I learned throughout my trials is, like, if you are, let's say, gifted, higher in an area in IQ in this case, you needed less repetition to learn something. If you had a normal or were in the average range, you needed more repetition, you know, 100 practices versus 10 maybe. If you were in the lower levels of the IQ, you needed more repetition, let's say 1,000 or more, before that became ingrained in your brain and you picked that up. So I applied these same things to mental states. And I thought, okay, if your mental state is already high and you're trying to manifest, well, you're going to need less repetition, less practice. It'll come to you easy. If you're normal, you may need a little bit more. You may need to do just, if you're like average, you feel okay. You're not at that, oh, wow, I'm already so good, I'm going to change my life. You're like, I need to change my life. I want to change my life. That's the normal range. You're going to need more repetition. Now, if you're at a lower level of mental state, which of course depression, anxiety, body dysmorphia, any kind of trauma from past childhood experiences or adult experiences, high levels of grief that you've had, you're at a lower mental state. So you're going to need more repetition until you see results. You keep going until you get the results. So that made so much sense to me when I compared my years of teaching and the knowledge of how students learn with my mental state and how I can change things. So I was like, okay, that means I need to step this up, and it's okay to step it up, and it's okay to take the time that I need and to realize that. But then I didn't limit myself to any thought. That's a big, and I think I heard that from Joe Dispenza. It's like, don't limit yourself for any thought. And there's a difference between obsession and repetition. Obsession allows fear. Repetition is just practice. Okay, so there's no fear involved. So that helped me, because I was like, oh my God, if I'm OCD and I'm doing this repetition, isn't that part of the OCD? It's not. There's a difference between obsession and repetition. All right, so that was my little notes there, and I think I can put this journal away. I went over everything in that. Now I'm going to continue on. So after doing my inner work, I realized I had to take responsibility for all my choices and everything that's happened to me. It hasn't happened to me. I've been a willing participant. And that's where my thinking started changing, is I've had these choices. I've made these choices. My mind is in control. I am in control of that. And I decided I'm going to grasp that control and take it on with full force. So, you know, a couple little things happened, and I realized whatever was occurring didn't represent me. It represented someone else, or, you know, outside influences. And why was I letting things bother me? It wasn't me. It doesn't constitute me. And that really kind of helped me break free of some negative thoughts regarding some patterns of behavior that were occurring in my life. And I realized also, you know, another thing is like the past, okay? The past occurred because things have happened in the past, but I can release that. Those things are not present today in my daily life, and they're definitely not going to be part of my future. Okay, so what I did is I started adding the affirmations that my doctor told me about in my daily journal. And so what I added, these are exactly the things that I added. I am worthy, I am lovable, I am happy with my face and body, I am healed, I am goddess energy, and I think there was one more. I have to look. I'm healthy. Okay, so I added those in my daily journal, my gratitude journal, and I've been just writing them down every day and saying them to myself. So I changed. That's something that I added. And then I started going out in nature and just being. I have many places to sit here. I'm so lucky where I can just sit outside, and I started just looking at the clouds and listening to the birds and looking at the birds and the insects and the bees and any spiders, and then my pets would come by and I would just watch their interaction, and I would just do that. I just do that for 30 minutes or so, however long it takes, with no time constraint, and just do that. Sit out in nature and be present, okay? Then I'm still doing the things to take care of myself, like working out and taking care of my face, but I'm not obsessing over it or becoming hard on my body or myself. And one thing Joe Dispenza mentioned in one of his meditations, which has worked wonders for me, is when you see or feel those thoughts coming to you, you just say change. So say I get up in the morning and I look in the mirror and I was like, oh my gosh, look at my wrinkles. And as soon as this starts to come in my mind, I look at myself and I say, change. And I know what that means. It means I'm going to change that thought. I'm not going to allow that thought to come up. So I just say change. And I've been doing that on a lot of things that have occurred that may seem negative in my life. I just decide it's not going to bother me. It's not going to be a problem. I'm changing. I'm that new person. This is my rehearsal to who I'm supposed to be. So that's really been very beneficial. I've also started asking more in my prayers and to the universe when I do my sun gazing for assistance. In the past, and I think this deals with my past religious experiences, for whatever reason, it's like, don't ask for help, don't ask for help. But then you hear all these things now, ask for help, ask for assistance. And I've always been on the borderline of that. I've never felt comfortable asking God to help me. I've always just been thankful and appreciative for everything that has happened to my life. But I started asking for assistance, just, doing my thanks and my gratitude, but acknowledging any weaknesses and thanking God for understanding and affirming what I feel and know He's with me, but then asking for any assistance that's out there that, God, the universe, my spirit guides want to give me. So it's really been, I think that's it. It's really been going wonderful. I cannot tell you that this is something that's very doable, that you can do this yourself, even if you don't suffer from body dysmorphia. For any negative thought you may have regarding yourself, your face, your body, or who you are as a woman, you can do these same things that I'm doing to make yourself feel better. And it's just been a week and 2 days since I've been doing it, and I need to get back. And now I will go out and lay out in a hammock and just look at the sky. Sorry, not stars. I have to do that at night. That's one thing I need to do. But look at the sky and look at the sun, not the sun, but just nature, and go ahead and do that. Just get out in nature and look at the sky, look at the clouds, look at the birds, look at everything that's wonderful in life. So, and with no intent except just to be present in that moment. Upkeep that every day, but so far my journal's been, really helpful, and I've increased my meditation, and I feel I'm healing. I am definitely healing, and it feels great and it feels wonderful, and I'm starting to love myself again, and, not let what others show me as love affect my own love for myself. That's really the big thing, and that's really looking back on past relationships have helped me, especially since this BDD has really come forth more because of the trauma from the divorce. I really want to look at not letting anyone else's feelings towards me affect my feeling of self, and being conscious of that. And when you make the choice, the hardest part is first confronting your issues, confronting your problems, and really saying, okay, I have this disorder, and I, really want to get through it. That's number one. Number two then is making the commitment, is like, is I am willing to do whatever it takes. Be willing to do whatever it takes to get through it, and make that choice and tell your mind that every day I'm going to do whatever I need to get through this, and I'm going to get through this, and I get through this. Notice how I changed the tense to present tense. I am through this. Okay, so you keep that inner talk strong. You can do it. You make the choice. Once you convince your mind, then you're limitless, with what is possible in your healing. So, and then make a commitment, start writing things down. Do a journal, affirmation journal. I meditate every day. I meditate every day. I meditate every day. And you will start meditating every day. Start affirming things and daily. Say them to yourself. If you don't want to write them, say them to yourself. Record yourself talking and repeat it back to you. Do whatever you need to do. Listen to someone else saying affirmations and you repeat them in your mind. Whatever works for you is going to be the right thing to do. I'm just telling you what works for me. You make the decision of what works for you, and you can, once you make that commitment, to get help. Now, I want to remind you and always end with the suicide hotline, because I know in the past I've suffered and had those suicide ideals. I've, thought about, oh, things become too hard. It's just easier to do that. And that's not the truth. That is not going to be easier. It creates a lot of grief, and it is not just for you, for your family and your soul carries that. So if you are thinking about suicide, if you have considered how you're going to do it, please call the suicide hotline it's 24/7 at 1-800-273-8255. Okay, that's the National Suicide Hotline. Please talk to someone there, and they will work through your issues with you and get it started. And again, that's the first step. But I wanted to remind that of you. And you're great. You are wonderful. You can do this. Okay, you can do this. It seems harder than it is. And like I said, the hardest thing you will have to do is make that commitment to yourself to do it, to try it. Okay, so to say, I'm going to do this, I am going to get healed, I am going to make these changes in my life, and you will then put yourself on the path to actually doing it. And that's the wonderful thing, and that's what I learned. And I will keep you updated on my treatment and anything else, any other research I learn on it. But I've been already kind of moving past and working on some other things. So that's why another reason this video was so late in coming, because I actually got so motivated and so feeling good. Everything was just going in the right direction. It just seems like my eyes are open to this disorder. And it's been a wonderful journey so far in my treatment. And I hope this video helps you. And, I want to remind everyone I live with love and kindness and generosity in my thoughts, my words, actions, and deeds, now to myself as well as to others. So, it's made the biggest difference in my life. And I know you can do this, and I know you can get through this. And there's people out there that want to help you. I want to help you. I'm going to help you with any videos I can make. And doctors are out there that will help you. So if you're suffering from body dysmorphic disorder, please seek treatment. Please take your disorder in your own hands and do something about it, and you will succeed. I assure you that you will succeed in this once you make that decision in your mind and you start taking the steps needed to make your feeling of self and self-worth and loving yourself and worthiness and lovability, all that is going to increase. So I will sign off with this video now, and until next video, aloha again.